So, welcome back to another week with us on the road. We thought we would stop and give you guys an update with what's been happening with our truck. So this is filmed in real time. This is the Friday the 24th of April, day before Anzac Day. So up until now, we thought we'd give you a bit of an update of what's happening. Yeah. So.
It's been a wild ride.
It has been. It all started when? The 13th of March. Friday the 13th.
Well, it started before then.
We should have known.
Even before then, we're driving Brown Mountain and the road into Mount Barker, heading in towards Adelaide.
So anybody who owns a truck will know, specifically a Fuso Canter, will know that they are not overly powerful, and that when you're towing a heavy caravan behind you, you are nice and slow. Yeah. And
slow is okay. We're not looking to, and we made a decision when we bought the Canter. We said we're not looking to achieve record speed. We're not doing a 12-month lap.
We're not here to rush around.
No. But
however, when we were going up Brown Mountain and we were going up Mount Barker and we're going up a few hills, when we were travelling at 30 k's an hour going up a hill,
up Mount Barker,
had to go into low range in Brown Mountain.
Brown Mountain, we couldn't even go up in first gear high range, so it was literally stop, cars behind us, halfway around a corner, tight bend, steep incline, and low range 4-wheel drive, just to chug out of there.
So we decided we would like to get the truck tuned, purely to be able to maintain speeds going up a hill or up a mountain safely.
Yeah,
that was the big thing. Yeah, the main reason. So we found a place in Adelaide, and we thought, that's sort of where we're heading. So we found a place in Adelaide that does truck tunes. We contacted the person, and they said, we've done hundreds. Heaps of Canters before, we know what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. We were happy with that, so we chucked it in, got it tuned, picked it up that afternoon, and it was amazing. It was zippy, it was fantastic.
Massive difference noticeable straight away.
Yeah.
We hadn't obviously hooked the caravan up at that point. It was just the truck, but you can notice just by itself, you're like, wow, it's accelerating almost car-like out of the traffic lights, and it's effortless. Travelling in 5th gear was no problem.
Yeah.
We could barely
Never
do
did
that
before.
However, it was the second day after picking it up, we were going down to Noarlunga Beach.
Yeah. Without the caravan on, and it's through a code.
It's through a code. I'm kind of like, oh, that's a bit strange, and I thought, all right, well.
So it not just through a code, it threw an engine system code and went into limp mode.
Yeah.
So we pulled over, we turned the truck off, we did some Googling and couldn't really see too much. We turned the truck back on and the code had gone. So we kind of went, oh, okay, maybe it was just a residual thing, whatever.
Yeah. Sometimes I do understand with tuning and stuff that things can get missed, or it just makes the system go a bit funny sometimes. So I thought, we'll see, how we go. We're leaving from McLaren Vale the next day to go to Munta for the weekend. So
No, this was on the Monday, it wasn't the weekend. That was just our next spot was Munta.
Yeah.
And on the way there, we had 2 codes.
Yep.
It was 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that we'd thrown the one, cleared, nothing, sort of said to each other, if it happens again, then we'll get back in contact with the tuner. And then we, as Amy said, 2 codes on the way. As soon as that first one happened, I got on my phone and messaged him and said, hey, look, this has happened.
We're not sure why.
We're not sure why. What's your advice here?
He said bring it back.
He said bring it back in. He'll have a look at it. Now, I'm a pretty thorough guy. I do a lot of research. I'm not
Painfully so.
unintelligent, and I can usually work out what's gone wrong myself. I unfortunately can't fix this kind of thing myself. And one of the first things I said to the tuner was, could it be just the tuner's just too aggressive? Because one of the things they need to do in diesel tuning is that they increase the rail pressure to increase the amount of fuel going into the cylinders, and then you can increase boost based on that, and yada yada, to make the power. My thoughts were, well, maybe he's just pushed it a bit too far, and it's just something in the fuel rail system is not liking that level. And I said to him, can we just back it off a little bit? He was pretty confident that it wasn't the tune, and
asked us to bring it back.
Yeah, bring it back.
See what he could see.
Look over things.
We took it back to the place that we got it tuned, and they've tested some things, and they kind of went, this was a little bit loose. We've fixed that up. We changed the fuel filter. At the moment, the truck is throwing an engine system code, and it looks like it's probably a fuel related thing. Fuel isn't getting in fast enough for the speed that we're traveling at, if that makes sense. That's how I kind of interpreted it. And I kind of joked and said, well, the truck's never traveled that fast for that long. Is that the reason? He said, it could be, but they changed the fuel filter and did a couple of other things to try and see if that is the issue. Some fuel line thing wasn't connected very well, so he's fixed that up. Anyway, we've just left where we were staying overnight, and we've just thrown, I think, 3 or 4 codes within 10 to 15 minutes. Every time it throws a code, we pull over, we turn it off, we turn it back on, and the code's gone. So we just used our jerry cans to fill it up. We just used 40 litres. We're thinking, is it that dry? So a little bit of a backstory as well. Our fuel gauge doesn't work. The needle doesn't work. It never has. So we've always gone off kilometres travelled. And yeah, we're wondering maybe fuel has dropped during the tune or something.
90 litres.
Okay.
So plus 40, 130.
There's mozzies in the
Low,
car.
low.
No, okay. So we've just put 130 litres into our 175 litre tank. So it wasn't
The other keys and I'll fill with cherries.
bone dry. Yeah. We'll see. Keep you updated. I just drove longer without getting a code, but I travelled at 80 instead of 100, so we'll see if that makes a difference. Anyway, keep you updated. What are you doing filling up a jerry can in a fuel crisis?
There's no crisis. Elbow told me not to worry.
By this time, the truck had gone back to the tuner twice. The first time was, as you would have seen, the fuel line thing, and then the second time he had it for 3 days. Yep. Did a few things, bits and bobs, trying to work it out.
Yep.
When we picked it up, he said, if it happens again, I don't think it will, but if it happens again, it is 100% the suction control valve. It just needs replacing. Yep. I don't have any here, so I didn't replace it. But it should be fine now.
Yeah, he said
he also
did a relearn process on the current one. Said it was the fuel rail pressures were lagging behind what the expected level was. He did a relearn procedure on the suction control valve, and said that he was then meeting targets. So felt like he had fixed the problem.
Yeah. Then so the suction control valve, and he also said, look, the truck is quite noisy and it's got a bit of a squeal to it. I think the alternator needs changing. Now, it's fine for the moment. Just keep an eye on it, and, it's probably something you want to do in the future. So we, at that point, we actually were staying in a caravan park for the week because we
Yep.
didn't have the truck.
Yeah.
So we thought, you know what, let's quickly test it the day after we picked it back up, even though we were staying another 2 nights. So we hooked up the caravan, left everything that was outside.
Ran into the reception office of the caravan park and said, we're not leaving, we're literally just going and testing our truck, and we will be back.
So we went from like the middle of Adelaide all the way, to Dublin, which is about 45 minutes north. And then we turned around and we travelled about 45 minutes back.
Yep.
We had no codes.
No
limp mode, nothing. We thought, hell
Brilliant.
yeah, it's been fixed. This is sick. So we were happy, but then Stephen was like, no, I'm not going to be happy until we've had 3 days of travelling and no codes.
Yeah.
So we picked
Saturday was the day
was the day we hooked up, and our plan was to head north and go up the middle. So we started that and we got to...
where did we go? We went to Nishalby.
That's right.
Yeah.
So just outside of Port Pirie, we stayed there and we had, I think, 1 code or maybe 1 or 2 on the way.
At least 1 or 2, maybe more.
Might have only been 1 at that point, and we kind of like, oh, okay, but, you know, we had a code last time and then it didn't throw the codes on the way home from Moonta.
We kind of said, like, the one time the very first time when we came back to Adelaide after spending the weekend in Moonta,
it didn't throw a code
at all. And we're like, oh my God, what are we doing? It's fine.
Maybe it is fine. Maybe it just needed to work something out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we thought, no, that's fine. We'll just keep pressing on. So then we went to Pimba and stayed at Spud's Road House at Pimba. And at Pimba, you either keep going along the main road up towards Kubapedi, or you can go north and head to Roxby Downs and Endamuka and get onto the Nadada track. So we got to Pimba, and by then we'd thrown a couple of codes and we thought, you know what, let's
at least another 2 or 3 on the way there.
Yeah, but I think by that point it was a weekend again, and we went, no, it wasn't, but we had Endamuka. Let's just go to Endamuka and just chill out for 3 days.
Yeah, maybe it's not that bad. Like, I think we were like 1 every hour or so of driving.
It wasn't
too bad.
And you
turn
the truck off.
It was definitely an improvement than what it was. It felt like anyway.
And you turn the truck off and turn it back on and the code's gone. So it wasn't like, had to bleed lines or anything like that.
Yeah.
So we got to Endamuka and we actually thought, we'll do a couple of fixes. Stephen had a look at the truck a little bit.
Yep. So a couple of the things that I'd researched was that blocked filters could be a thing. But I'd changed the fuel filter previously. The tuner had done that as part of one of his things. So I was like, well, the filter's out. It's not that.
Yeah.
Another thing was possibly air being introduced to the lines. And I discussed this with my dad, who knows diesel engines really well. He's a fitter
but also
machinist.
A friend who's a mechanic, and he said no, because you'd have to bleed lines. Because you'd have to be bleeding the lines. But despite that, I just went, all right, I'm going to check all the seals in the lines, in the fuel filter housing. I checked the fuel lines, made sure none of them were kinked and restricting flow. I had checked the fuel tanks and found that the vents for the tanks had been blocked. So just made sure that they were clear. And venting properly. Just the general bits and pieces. Just, is there anything stupid here that is causing this? And we left Endamuka. We left Endamuka and it got worse and worse. And admittedly, in Endamuka, we did a little bit of a 4-wheel drive kind of track and took it through some bumps and all that sort of stuff. But by the time we got from Endamuka back down to Pimba, it was so bad. It was happening like every 10 minutes. Yeah. It was horrendous.
Even before we got that far, like we were at I think it's the Flinders View rest stop, and it was leading up to there. It was literally happening every 5 to 10 minutes. So we were just code after code after code after code, and at this point I was like,
I don't know what it is.
Crap.
Because we had originally thought, we'll just keep pressing north, we'll get to like Alice Springs, and maybe we'll go down the Great Central Road and head into Perth and get somebody to look at it in Perth. But by the time we got back down to Pimba, it was so bad that we were worried that we were doing damage, that we wouldn't even make it down the Great Central Road.
Exactly.
So we stopped at Pimba for lunch.
Okay.
And we rang Luke,
Yep.
who is our friend who used to live down the road from us,
Yep.
who is a mechanic, but not just a mechanic, has worked on mine trucks and
Yep.
all the rest.
Diesel
So
mechanic for the
owns a
mines.
truck himself.
Yep.
So we thought, yeah, let's just pick his brain a little bit. And we rang him, and
Yep.
you know, he said, look, you absolutely could be doing damage, but he can't see the truck either. So he said, look, without seeing it, I don't really know, but it doesn't sound good. I'd be heading back to Adelaide.
Yep.
So we could either turn left and go back to Adelaide, or we could turn right and head towards Uluru and Alice.
Yep.
So we turned left.
So we turned left. But I'd also in that stop, I'd also spoken to another tuner in Victoria who said, oh, look, what codes is it throwing? Yada, yada. And he'd suggested possibly the pressure relief valve.
Yes.
So Luke was suggesting injectors or the high pressure pump. And this other guy's suggesting pressure relief valve. We're still, at this point, new from the tuner that he's talking about it being the suction control valve.
Yeah.
So we still don't have any definitive answers.
Yeah.
Just a lot of ideas of things that it could be.
We also talked to a couple of other people that we found in
online,
Facebook groups
YouTube,
that were having other problems and similar problems.
Yeah. One guy throwing the exact same codes, another guy who was slightly different but still fuel system issues.
So at this point we fully thought fuel system. It's the fuel system somewhere.
Yeah.
So while we were driving back home, we in one day I think we drove 430 Ks just to test it out, because we literally could at one point we could make it happen.
Yeah.
Because
really
it was only happening in fifth gear under the load of the caravan. It wasn't happening without the caravan on and all the rest.
It was a good hour
we drove in
half,
fourth gear.
Didn't throw a code.
Didn't happen at
and
all.
As soon as I said, all right, aim, shift into fifth, code.
Instantly.
Limp mode, straight away.
Instantly.
Every time. So we were like, all right, let's just drive in fourth gear.
Yeah.
See how we do.
And we
And we
drove
made it all
over
the way
an hour.
to Red Hill.
Yeah.
Over an hour.
Yeah.
No codes. Driving in fourth gear.
Yeah.
So then just threw up more questions, more problems. Still
Yeah.
no idea.
Unfortunately, at this point, it was Thursday,
Yeah.
the day before the Easter long weekend. So we kind of went, crap, what are we going to do for 4 days? Because nobody's going to be able to work on it over the weekend or do anything like that.
Yeah.
So we called the tuner and he said, look, I can't get you in until the following Thursday, so a week away.
So the plan was with him to change the suction control valve and the pressure relief valve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got put on to a mechanic in Adelaide, well, in Noarlunga.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's just south of Adelaide. Got put onto this mechanic, gave them a call and spoke to the boss, and he said, yeah, look, I know what you're talking about. I've seen this happen before.
He actually said, pressure relief valve, suction control valve.
Yeah.
Yep, we've seen it.
So they could get us in on Tuesday, which was great.
Yep. So
we said, yep, get it in on Tuesday. Can you change the alternator as well? Because that sounds like it's making a squeal, blah, 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 blah. So what did we do over the weekend? We ended up just staying in Moonta. No, we went down to St Kilda and stayed at a boat ramp car park over Easter.
I'm pretty sure we went to Moonta for
not for Easter. We stayed at St Kilda for
Easter.
Easter.
St Kilda. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
We stayed at St Kilda.
And thankfully they have a huge, incredible adventure playground across the road.
And heaps of people visiting there, so the kids had heaps of people to play with.
And made lots of friends, which was awesome. Anyway, so, Tuesday came and we sent it to the mechanic.
So, we're dropping off the truck again. This time we're trying someone new. We've spoken to these guys and we're very hopeful. They know what they're talking about for starters. Yep. So we'll see how we go.
We've just had a phone call from the mechanic who has our truck at the moment, and they've relayed some information to Stephen.
Yeah. So
I don't know. We're finding out together.
So they, as we know, we put the truck in to get the suction control valve and the pressure relief valve and sensor replaced. They are the most likely places that the truck was failing. They told me that the pressure relief valve was full of rust, so that was most likely holding the valve open and causing it to release pressure
in the rail.
And that's what's causing the code.
Okay. So they're pretty confident that replacing that will now fix the issue.
Okay.
My question to them, and why the phone call went for a bit longer, was if there's rust there,
is there rust?
Is there going to be concern for rust in the injectors or the high pressure pump?
Okay.
He said it seems to be running well. There is a bit of an issue with the lift pump. I'll get to that in a minute.
Right.
But he said that the injectors seem to be running well and it's running clean. There may be some rust in there, but he suggested running a fuel cleaner through. He said if it was new injectors, you wouldn't recommend running a cleaner, but it's 12-year-old truck. So.
Yeah, he did mention that he may need to have it overnight.
Well, that was for the alternator. So they're doing the alternator at the same time.
Yep.
Our tuner said the alternator was starting to make a bit of a squeal.
So I said, oh, look, while it's in the mechanic, we might as well get it done.
Just get it all done.
And thankfully, because what did he just
said? It was making a loud squeal.
Yeah.
So, great, we're getting it replaced.
Yep.
He just said it might not be done today because it's a 5-hour job. So they need to remove the driver's seat. So
and it's already 12:30.
Yeah, so I said, well, it's no worries. If you need it until tomorrow, that's not a problem. We have somewhere to stay. They were concerned. They're lovely. We told them we live in our truck and caravan. And they were concerned that we wouldn't have somewhere to live if they had the truck overnight.
Yeah.
I said, no problem.
We've got the caravan and they've given us a loan car so we can drive back to the caravan. Yeah. That's no sweet. That's no dramas. But
so, yeah, they're going to do the alternator. They're also looking at a lift pump because he said that the lift pump plug assembly, and this may have had a bit of an issue with the low pressure at the rail too.
Okay.
The low pressure pump in the tank was also having issues working because the plug was very corroded. It's 12-year-old plastic, and the pins were a bit bent and what have you. He tried to bend the pins and try and get it to work. He said he did get the lift pump working again, but the pump and the plug recommended get a replacement. So I've said, yeah, get a price and find out if they're locally available, and we'll get that done as well.
Okay.
And that may solve the fuel level sensor issue, possibly, because if the plug is relating to that, may have something to do with that. Because we've always that might be a pleasant surprise. We'll have a working fuel gauge.
Oh, that'd be so nice. We've our fuel gauge ever since we bought it has never worked. So we've always had to work off litres per 100 and how many Ks we've done, which has been very risky at some points, hasn't it? Where we've gone, we're doing more litres per 100 than we thought.
More recently, yes, it has been burning because we've been driving it at 4th gear, so we're revving it and all that. Yeah. So we've been using about 26 to 28 litres per 100 rather
instead
than
of our normal 23.
Between 20 and 23 litres per 100.
Yeah.
So now, once we've got this relief valve solved, we should be able to drive it now again in 5th and get back to that 20 to 23 litres per 100 Ks, which would be lovely again, considering the price of fuel is double what we started at.
And I know, of course, the price of fuel goes up right when we're having issues with the truck and we're testing it out every single day. And, you know, a few days ago, we drove 423 Ks in one day just to try and
get back
and problem solve. And, man.
But anyway. These are the things of living on the road. You know, that it's not all sunshines and rainbows all the time. Things sometimes go wrong.
This is part of travel life, and we keep saying, fun. Well, yeah, Ruben just said it is fun. There are lots of fun parts of travel life.
I don't know if it's fun to necessarily have to try and get
at the moment
solved.
It's not overly fun, but we keep saying we chose this life, and you know we chose it
and
for
we're still smiling.
Other reasons. Yeah, we are still smiling.
We could be stuck in Andamuka and not moving and getting, you know, a truck to tow you out of the bush.
Exactly, we could be stuck in the middle of nowhere, but thankfully we're in Adelaide and we've got a lot of resources around us, and a lot of people, a lot of things. We've got somewhere to stay, and we've got lots of things to do, which is great.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we might go for a swim.
We're going to go for a swim.
We probably can't swim that. It'll be at an aquatic centre. There'll be people around, but we're going for a swim.
We're probably going to go for a swim.
Yay, aquatic centre!
Do something for the rest of the day.
That we went to.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, this is us signing off for the day, unless we get the truck back, and then we'll...
Maybe I'll do some cooking later and they can watch that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cooking.
But we'll, yeah, we'll keep you updated.
Bye. Bye. Bye bye.
Oh, wow, that's cool. All right. We're here to pick up the truck.
No, we're here to pick up the Hummer.
No, we're here to pick up the truck this Oscar's talking about. It's pretty cool. And then there's the truck there. All right, so they did have it overnight. It's about 4 o'clock the next day. So I don't know what they've done, but we'll
give you a run through of everything
we'll find out.
very shortly.
Yep, we'll find out.
So this controls the fuel flow from the pump. So if this jams, then you're going to log a low fuel pressure code.
Yeah, because it's going to be constantly bleeding back into the
Yeah.
tank. Yeah.
Yep. So and then on the other end, you've got a relief. Well, it's a regulator on yours.
Yep.
They're both made by Bosch. They both sort of do the same thing.
So the
Well,
SCV.
it's called a pressure regulator on yours. Most are called pressure relief valves.
Okay.
So this is, this is essentially that, and that'll regulate the flow back to the pump or the tank.
Yep.
But what you need both ends of the common rail capped, so it holds the pressure.
Yes.
If it doesn't hold the pressure, then you're going to leak off and get a low fuel pressure code.
Yeah.
So yeah, that rust is not good.
No.
Is it-
I'm
is it
I'm
gonna
so
be-
happy you actually found it because like there was every chance you pull that out and go,
It's
looks fine. It might be that.
Usually what happens is that O-ring fails.
Yeah,
And you
right.
can just replace the O-ring, but when I saw that, I'm like, it's going
Do
to
the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I'm very happy.
Okay, so as you've just seen, that was the mechanic talking about the pressure relief valve.
Yep.
We've actually got it. It'll be on. I've got it on video
I know,
already.
but we've still got it. You can see there's a bit of. Well, you can't see because it's too close, but you can probably see. There you go. There's still a bit of rust.
Well, the rust isn't going to go away.
Rust. I know, but we've still got the thing.
We've
Carry
still
it
got
around. Maybe we should get rid of that. That'll weight save a little bit.
Yeah. So as you see, the pressure relief valve was in fact rusted.
Yep.
The suction control valve was completely fine, but it's one of those things that they just change anyway. They can't really test it, so they just change it.
Which is fine. They're not super expensive things anyway. It was like, well, if it ends up being one of those and it's not the other, at least they're both done.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, we've solved the problem and it's not ridiculously expensive.
And the alternator was done as well, which actually didn't need to be done, it turns out. However, we asked them to put a different alternator, a bigger alternator.
Yeah.
So we've got a better alternator in the truck now anyway. So it's kind of like, oh, well, silver lining is that.
Yeah.
He also said to us, look, the cab, inside the cab is so loud. It's one of the noisiest canters I've ever been in.
And this is it, despite changing the alternator.
Yeah,
and
he
was like,
said,
it's not that.
it's not the
so it's
alternator.
something else.
He said it could be the turbo. And, like Stephen's guts just about fell to
I was
the floor.
already going at that point. No, I just know how much that's going to be. It's going to be at least $6,000 or $7,000,
as well as the time to do it, as
yeah.
well as a whole bunch of other things. And we thought at that kind of point, if it's going to cost us that much, it's pack up and go home type stuff. So he said, look, can you leave it with me tonight? I'll get it diagnosed this afternoon, and then you can pick it up tomorrow. And we'll go from there if it is the turbo, discussions. So we drove
left there and feeling pretty.
Yeah, and thankfully we had a what's it called, a loan car. So they said just keep that, go back to camp, that's fine. And by the time we'd gotten back, it was only like 20-minute drive. He said, look, we've diagnosed it already. It's not the turbo.
Thank goodness.
Sleep easy tonight. So we did sleep very easy knowing it wasn't the turbo.
He'd actually told us, not the turbo, it's the idler pulleys. And
we think it's the idler pulleys, that's a nice, quick, easy job. We'll do that tomorrow.
And it's much cheaper.
Yes, thank goodness. Right. So the next day, they changed the idler pulleys, and we picked it up at like the very last minute as they were closing the doors, kind of thing. They had it just finished in time because we really... Well, where we were staying had been raining, and the dirt had turned to mud,
Yeah.
and we knew we had to get out of there, and that more rain was coming, so we really needed the truck back to be able to pull the caravan
Insert the clip
out.
of us driving through the mud and getting out of that here. That was crazy. Awesome fun, but not what I need to be doing at 5 o'clock in the afternoon when we need to be getting out of a place to test the truck.
And
to
of
make
course,
sure
we
it
wanted to
works.
test it straight away. So
Yeah.
we finally got out of there about 6 p.m. and made our way north. We went back to good old faithful Moonta,
Yep.
which was about a 2-hour drive north.
Yes.
We
Drove
had
for
about an hour and a half,
at least.
hour and 45 minutes. We're like, oh, this is sick. There's no codes. We're on here. This is amazing.
It's all been fixed. Thank
And then
goodness.
we went over some bumps and we threw a code.
Yep.
Went into limp mode.
So the road near Munta, or on the main road into Munta, it gets quite bumpy, like really undulating bumps, and really unsettles the truck.
And the other thing was that the mechanic said it could be, he pulled out the fuel plug. What's that plug called? The fuel
Yeah. So the mechanic had told us the fuel system harness.
Yeah, the wiring harness.
Yeah, the wiring harness, the plug for the wiring harness. It was quite damaged. Probably well before we've even owned it. But there was a couple of things, obviously, with the truck being, second-hand truck. The fuel level didn't really work properly.
Which I talk about.
And the water separator is on constantly.
Yeah.
So maybe that was contributing. So we're like, all right, cool, we'll change that.
Yeah.
But the mechanic had told us it's going to be, 6 to 8 weeks
Yeah,
from Japan.
so that wiring harness is only a genuine Fuso brand part.
Second-hand.
There's no aftermarket parts for that.
Yeah.
And there is none available in Australia. They looked because they were going to replace it for us. There's none available in Australia, and he said it's going to take at least 6 to 8 weeks to get it from Japan.
Yep.
So we went, okay, and he said, but that could be part of the problem because
Some
it's
kind
part
of bad connection.
the fuel wiring
low
harness.
pressure pump's not putting enough fuel up because it's got a bad connection.
Yeah. So we went, okay,
Change that.
maybe when they put it back in, it was solid connection. Maybe when they put it back in, then we've gone over these bumps. It's disconnected
Yep.
it. So we stayed in Moonta overnight. We got up the next morning.
2 nights.
No.
Because it was the weekend again and we couldn't do anything. So it was like, all
No,
right.
no, we only stayed the one night.
Did we?
Yeah, we stayed the one night.
One night in Moonta again.
And
Drove
drove
back.
straight back to our good old faithful free camp in St Kilda.
Once again, driving for about an hour and 40 minutes without throwing a code, thinking,
And this
because I'd
was-
done a little bit of a play around with the plug to make sure it was more
This was the
secure.
Friday because the truck had been with the mechanic Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, picked it up Thursday evening, drove to Moonta, drove back to St Kilda on Friday. And the reason that we wanted to race back there was there's a truck wrecker in North Adelaide that has Fuso. So I gave them a ring, said, is there any chance you've got this part? And he said, yeah, I've got like 10 of those, FGB71s, 4P10 motors sitting in the yard. Come down and take whatever you need. So we raced down there and got there.
Amazing guy.
He was fantastic.
Like, just whatever you need, no problem. Just $50 for the harness. It was like, sweet.
Yeah.
10-minute job to get it off.
That's Adelaide Truck Wreckers, if ever you need it. They
Definitely.
were fantastic.
If you're stuck with Fusos in Adelaide, talk to them if you need anything.
So we went and got the fuel wiring harness and the water separator sensor
Yep.
at the same time. And he... on the just before we got there, threw a code and went into limp mode.
Yeah.
So that was about an hour and a half of driving. Now we were like, an hour and a half is
But it was also,
good.
once again, near
bit bumpy.
some bumps. There was like some roadworks going on, so we're like, maybe it unsettled something.
We're convinced that it's
See
the
if this
fuel
fixes
wiring
it.
harness.
So we picked that stuff
So
up.
literally picked it up first thing in the morning, drove over to the boat
St.
ramp.
Kilda boat ramp
Stephen fixed everything in the truck, replaced the wiring harness, replaced the water separator and all that sort of stuff. Kids got to have a play.
Had some lunch and went, all right, I've done the fix. Now we need to test it again.
So we drove back to Moonta.
Another hour and a half trip.
Oh, man. So we drove back to Moonta. Stephen...
Drove again.
No, but you also, cable tied the harness on just in case it was...
Yes, because the mechanic had told us that the connection to the pins on the in-tank pump were a little bit damaged because the plug was a little bit damaged.
Yeah.
And it might have been like a chicken and egg kind of thing. They may have damaged the plug, which damaged the pins, or they may have had to twist the pin or something to make it work with that plug. Don't know.
But that plug is a part of the in-tank pump.
Yeah.
The other side of it. So we drove back to Moonta in the afternoon, got a code on the way in the exact same spot.
Again.
We couldn't believe it. And we're like, okay.
Big bumps.
Have a look at the wiring harness. Stephen said, no, it hasn't moved an inch. It looks really good.
No.
However, our fuel gauge was now working.
Yay!
And the water separator code had gone away.
Yay! So happy accidents. You fix one thing, but it's not the thing you're trying to fix. That was lovely.
So by this point, it was 3 codes post the mechanic.
Yep.
And the other fixes that we'd done with the wiring harness and everything like that. So we thought this is... I mean, yes, we hadn't done the in-tank pump yet.
Yeah.
We had still planned to do it, but because it was the weekend, the wrecker wasn't open.
Yep.
So we already had planned to do that. However, first thing Monday morning, we spoke to the original tuner and said, look, we have tried this, we've tried this, nothing is working.
Changed out most of this fuel system by this point.
Yeah, we've got a whole new fuel system. So we contacted him and we said, look, as a last resort, can you please just remove the tune and return it to stock, which he was happy to do.
Yep.
So we drove...
And in fact, even offered to refund our entire money that we spent on it. He understood the work he'd done had not achieved anything.
Yeah.
So, and we've spent a lot of money trying to fix what had happened.
Yeah.
So graciously and has returned our money, but...
Yeah. So we drove back to Adelaide, picked up that part from the wrecker, put that in, and then stayed there the night because he said, no, I can do it tomorrow. So it was a nice, quick, easy, literally dropped the truck off, went and grabbed some lunch, came back and it was done. And did the in-tank pump anyway, which I don't think was the problem.
No, but I was conscious about that pin.
Yes.
And now...
It was the in-tank pump was more for the pin.
Yeah.
The clips being broken and stuff. Yeah.
And now it's a solid connection, and I know that if nothing else, it's eliminating that as a possibility.
Yeah. So, as of today, the 24th of April, we've now made our way from Adelaide. So from Adelaide to Port Pirie to Corn to Rawnsley Park Station in Flinders Ranges, and we are currently in Blinman.
Yep.
So, and then we're heading out to do the Unadilla. But from here, it's 4...
We've done 4 travel days.
4 full travel days, and they've ranged from an hour
to almost 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yep.
And we have had no codes. Yay!
So,
I mean, we're slow.
Yeah, well, definitely slow.
But the truck is back to old reliable.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. All along...
Well, I was right in the first place.
It was probably the tune.
Probably the tune that's just been pushed a little bit harder
or it just, our truck just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
As we've said to the tuner and everyone involved, we are 10 tonne, just shy of
10 tonne, fully loaded.
And when we're pushing it in 5th gear, it's under maximum load. You legally can't go any more maximum loaded than that.
Yeah.
So, I understand that the tuner may be correct. He may have done hundreds, maybe 1,000 of these tunes on Fusos and never had a problem, but they might be, chugging around town with 4 tonne, 5 tonne. Yeah. No problem.
We don't
around
know.
town, it's no worries.
Yeah, we don't know.
Whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But
look, I would like to just wrap this video up and just quickly say that I feel like the silver lining here is that if we hadn't have gotten the tune done, we would never have known about the idler pulleys, and the idler pulleys absolutely needed to be changed. The cab is so quiet now. It's we can actually hear the kids talking in the back. We can hear the engine running properly and all the rest. So that, I feel like, is the silver lining there.
Absolutely. We've got a better charging system.
Yeah, we've got a better alternator.
It's quieter now with the idler pulleys.
But we've also met some really lovely friends along the way.
Absolutely.
That, you know, we wouldn't have met if we had it tuned and it been fine, and we'd be, you know, up towards Darwin now, and we wouldn't have met our friends. So I'm thankful for that. And
definitely.
Yeah, like, shout out to the tuner. He was really gracious. He returned our money, and that was that. Shout out to the mechanic who bent over backwards for us
in a very busy time for him. He just made it happen. Awesome guys, and definitely
to all the people that gave us ideas of what to fix and you know, what to do next. And it definitely highlighted how
you need a community around you.
Someone
to talk to.
How isolated we really are from our friends and family. We don't have anybody in South Australia at all. No. We just kind of went, this is very lonely. So it was perfect timing to meet some of the people that we met. Yeah. And
on that, I think I'd still like to get a tune done. So let me know in the comments. Do you know someone who specialises in Fuso Canter tunes?
Heavy Fuso Canter tunes.
Because it has to be reliable. This is our home.
Yeah.
We need it.
Yeah.
And we need it to work.
Yeah.
Have they had experience with this kind of issue before? Can they work around that kind of thing and do a tune that matches to our requirements rather than just the stock standard, this is the tune, and it throws codes when you're 10 ton? Please let me know in the comments, because I would love to know. Do you know someone?
Yeah.
I've looked. There are a few around. I want to know the best guy there is.
Anyway, thanks for coming to our TED Talk. If you've had these problems, let us know as well. We'd like to hear about it.
If you've got any questions about Fuso Canter fuel problems,
please let us know.
I'm quite happy to discuss them with you, because I've got a pretty wide spectrum of knowledge on the area now.
Oh, all right, guys. We'll leave it there, and we'll see you next week.
Back to our regular scheduled programming. Some exciting stuff next week.
Yeah.
Although the getting out of the mud bog was pretty exciting.
That was pretty exciting. Although we do have a bit of an adventure next week, so we'll let you get ready for that. See you guys.